Welcome to another episode of Mike's Money Picks. Today on the podcast, we are back talking college hoops. Today, we are going to be breaking down the 5-game Friday night slate. We're going to be telling you what you can expect from each game, as well as who needs to be in or out of your DFS lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel, as well as any leans if you're looking to bet player props or sides and totals for these games. Now, while you're here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That we can be with us for the rest of our college basketball content all the way through the NCAA tournament. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. If you're listening on audio, please rate and review. It really does help me out a ton when you guys do that. I really do appreciate it. I cannot stress enough how helpful that is and how much it helps the channel grow and how much it helps grow the community. I really do appreciate it. Now, I will say, before we get started, I'm just a little bit butthurt about this slate, just a little bit, because my Charlotte 49ers, the school that I graduated from, we're currently tied for first in the American Athletic, looking like we could have a chance to make a run in the conference tournament, looking like we have a chance to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in forever. And we could have been on this DraftKings slate. We host Rice, but no, DraftKings didn't pick us. So I'm a little bit butthurt about it. Instead, we got two middle-of-the-road Mountain West games, a really good game in the A10, a fun game in the Big East, and a banger in the Big Ten. So I'm not mad at the 5 games that are included, but I wish it could have been 6. Why not get Charlotte here on the slate? Charlotte's a team that needs a little national spotlight. But I digress. Anyway, we've got 5 games to break down. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so game number 1 is a battle in the Big East between Providence and Villanova. This game has the highest total on the DraftKings slate. KenPom has it projected to be 85-75 in favor of Villanova. That is a game total of 160 points. Now, this is a rematch. These two teams played earlier in the season, and Villanova won 88-82 at Providence. That was 170 total points scored. And then basically for Villanova, all of their guards went off. All of their guards played very well. And it's not shocking, right? Because Providence is one of these teams that we've been talking about that you want to target. You want to play your guys against. Big reason why. They rank 193rd in defensive efficiency and 16th in tempo. That combination of bad defense and a high number of possessions is just so good for DFS. And the good part of it, too, is they're not awful. Like, they're not good. They're one of the worst teams in the Big East. But they rank 25th in offensive efficiency. So they're going to be able to score. They're going to be able to, hang points on you and keep the game close. So that gives the starters the ability to put up max minutes in a high-scoring game. Villanova, on the other hand, is a terrible matchup for Providence. They rank 37th nationally in defensive efficiency. In the first game that these two teams played for Providence, Jalen Sellers was the guy that had the best game. He put up 36 DraftKings points. Let's go ahead and talk about him now. So basically, this entire Providence offense changed when Jason Edwards got hurt, and he has missed every game since January 10th. He's currently listed as questionable for this one. I doubt he plays. There's very little news out there on his recovery or on his timetable. So since that point, we've seen kind of some shuffling of lineups. We've seen some kind of reshuffling of usage, and Jalen Sellers has kind of been the guy for them since that injury. He had one complete dud of a game against Creighton, which Providence won. It's the only game they've won without Jason Edwards, where he had 7 DraftKings points. But other than that, Jalen Sellers has put up 36 against Villanova, 39 against Providence, 27 against Georgetown, and 30 against Providence. That gives him an average of, if I'm doing my math here in my head correctly, about 32 DraftKings points a game, which is pretty reasonable for a salary of $8,000. So I don't mind the idea of going back to him here. I don't think this is the best spot in the world. I don't think he's the best play on the slate, but I think he's playable given what he's been doing and given the matchup and what he did in the first matchup. Stefan Vox is another guy who has seen big-time usage ever since Jason hurt, but as time goes by, he's kind of proven that he's one of these scoring only guys. He's not putting up peripheral stats in a way that we need to for a guy that's 7,100. His games since Edwards got hurt: 25 against Villanova, 39 against Creighton, and then 36, 24, and 18. So he just hasn't done it with the same level of consistency, same level of ceiling that Sellers has. Between the two of them, I would certainly play Sellers. Jameer Jones is another guy who has seen his usage surge since Jason Edwards went out, but I don't think Villanova is the best matchup for him. Villanova is a really good rebounding team. Jameer Jones really needs to get probably 7+ rebounds to hit value on a DraftKings slate now at the price tag he's at, and he only got 2 rebounds in that game against Villanova, and that was a game where he shot 8 for 12 from the field, pretty efficient, 30.5 DraftKings points. That's not going to cut it for his salary, so I'm kind of out on him. The other guy I do want to mention is Osen Arumse. I've learned it's pronounced. Pretty much, he was benched before the Creighton game, and then had his game and has since moved back into the starting lineup. He is now playing boosted minutes. He has now been a double-double machine, double-double in 4 straight games. And he's put up 33, 37, 29, and 37 DraftKings points in the last 4. Like I said, Villanova's a really good rebounding team. I don't think this is necessarily the best matchup for a big like Arumse. He only put up 13 DraftKings points the last time they played, but he has been on a run. He has a big role on the team, big role on the offense now. I don't mind the idea of putting him in your player pool if you're playing enough lineups at 7,300. Now, the remaining minutes are kind of split up between just a lot of guys. Corey Floyd has been this like peripheral stat darling who had some good games, but he only played 15 minutes last game against UConn. I don't really know why. Ryan Mila is another guy that just a big peripheral stat guy, not really the biggest scorer, but he's been so inconsistent, so up and down. I think you could put him in your GPP player pool at 4,100. The last time he played Villanova, he had 16 DraftKings points, but just not a whole lot of interest there. And then for whatever reason, Nidelvan Daniels kind of came out of nowhere and played 16 minutes against UConn, put up 11 DraftKings points. It's not great, but like, I don't know, maybe it's something to think about for the future, this guy getting more and more minutes. Now, on the Villanova side, as I mentioned, pretty much all of their guards got there against Providence. The good part about Villanova is they play such a short rotation that, like, in games like Providence where they score a lot of points, their guys are going to get there. Their guys are going to put up a lot of DraftKings points just because you know who's going to be on the floor. That just makes it an absolute smash spot. The guy at the top of the DraftKings salary board is Duke Brennan, but he's not like this prolific scorer. He's a great rebounder. He averages a double-double. He has an 18% offensive rebound rate. That's eighth in the country. 24% defensive rate. That's 56th in the country. So a combined rebounding rate of 42% is just elite. And in a game like Providence, there's going to be a ton of rebounds to go around. Now, believe it or not, in the first game against Providence, he was actually below his season average. He only grabbed 8 boards, only put up 28 DraftKings points, but he's got to get consideration for the rebounding matchup that he's going to see in this game. Tyler Perkins, I played a ton of early in the season when he was cheap. Now he's expensive, which is annoying. But he's been really good, right? He just kind of keeps doing his thing, and he keeps seeing his price increase. 3 straight games over 33 DraftKings points. I don't know if I'm bored of playing him at this price tag just because his peripheral rates aren't elite. He's really priced up. I would rather play a Caden Lewis, who is the assist guy for this team. He's actually the usage leader for this team at 25%, has a massive assist rate of 33%. First game against Providence, he put up 24 DraftKings points. And that kind of feels like the floor because in that game, he was 3 for 9 from the field. So I really do think that this is a good spot for him, good price tag. I'm going to be in on a Caden Lewis big time here on this slate. And then Devin Askew, I'm going to be in on as well. He fluctuates a lot because he is kind of one of these scoring only guys, but like he's going to score a lot of points in this game because the first game they played Providence, he had 36 DraftKings points, 20 points, 2 boards, 7 assists. So I do like the idea of getting to Askew here at 5,400. Lewis and Askew are going to be big parts of my player pool. The remaining minutes, those 4 guys that we just talked about kind of play a ton. Matt Hodge plays a ton of minutes as well, but he's not a very high usage player, 15% usage rate on the season. And then Bryce Lindsey and Malachi Palmer will kind of split the remaining minutes. Lindsey had a good game, 21 DraftKings points last time against Providence. Palmer even had 15 DraftKings points last time against Providence, but those guys are not like... I don't know. I don't really like the rates. I don't really like what I'm looking at there. Lindsey can be in your value player pool. Like if you're playing a lot of lineups, you can definitely get Lindsey there. 4,600 is not a bad price tag. He's probably going to shoot about 10 shots. He does have a 25% shot rate on the season. So I don't mind the idea of getting there. Now, game number 2. This is a good one, y'all. Michigan traveling to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. KenPom has this one. Slight favorite to Michigan, 73-72. That is a 145-point total, which is actually 3rd on the slate. No, 4th on the slate. I'm sorry, 4th on the slate. Big reason why is because these are the 2 best defenses in the country. Michigan's the 2nd best defense in the country, according to defensive efficiency, and Michigan State is 1st. And the tempo is going to be a contrast of styles. Michigan is 11th. Michigan State is 275th. So for the Michigan side, talked about all season long how you just want to keep playing Michigan players because if they score 90 points, you're going to need a piece of them, right? Well, I don't think it's likely they score 90 here. I don't even know how likely it is they get to 80 here. This is not a great matchup for them. Like these are 2 teams that over the course of the season have bullied teams with size and with big lineups. And now it's like the Spider-Man meme, like they're like looking at each other, like we've got a big lineup, got a big lineup. What's this going to look like? So I don't really know what to expect from this game. I do know that Yaxel Lendeborg is, in my opinion, their best player. He doesn't always put up the stats of it, but he's good. He's good at basketball, and he has consistently like risen to the occasion in big games, with the exception of Tuesday night against Nebraska. He was kind of a dud then. So I don't mind the idea of getting him in your player pool at 8,600. We've talked about all season long how Morez Johnson and Ade Mara, the bigs for Michigan, they kind of alternate who has big games and who plays big minutes. And Morez Johnson was the guy that came through with the big game against Nebraska, 29 minutes, 37 DraftKings points. Am I okay with putting them in your player pool? Yes. Are they going to be big parts of mine? No, because I don't think this Michigan State matchup is a particularly good matchup for any of them. And then Elliot Cadeau, the peripheral stat king, is he really going to put up a lot of peripheral stats in a game against a team with the 275th tempo in the country, the best defensive team in the country? Probably not. Like 6,400 is a reasonable price tag, but I don't really want to play a guy with this profile against Michigan State. So like I'm not going to have a lot of Michigan in general, much less of Michigan than I normally do in my player pool. And I think if you're betting player props, some Michigan unders I think are a really, really good look. Now on the Michigan State side, y'all, I might full fade Michigan State. I just don't see this offense scoring a lot of points against the Michigan defense. This offense is based off of the dribble penetration of Jeremy Fears and getting switches and getting favorable positioning for the post players, Kohler and Cooper. And they can't do that against Michigan. Michigan's going to pack the paint. Michigan's got 3 shot blockers. Michigan's got 3 guys that can defend the post, and they can even switch on the perimeter. And Jeremy Fears is not a perimeter jump shooter that's going to kill him. And now you're getting Jeremy Fears at a peak price tag coming off of 2 games of 45-plus DraftKings points. I just don't think I'm going to get there. I just don't. And Cooper and Kohler, they normally feast off smaller teams. This team ain't smaller, y'all. This is not Rutgers. This is not Maryland. This is Michigan. Like, I just don't know if I'm going to get there. Cohen Carr, a guy who's one of the best dunkers in the nation, elite level athlete. He's not going to beat Yaxel Lendeborg. So I just don't think I'm going to get there. The argument that I would make, Divine Ugachukwu is the shooter for this team. He can also rack up some peripheral stats like we saw against Rutgers. $5,300 for a guy who's probably going to take 5 or 6 threes in this game, for a guy who is pretty good at getting peripherals in a game that's going to be a pace up. I don't mind it, even though this is completely a ceiling price tag coming off of a ceiling game. I think he's the type of profile that you want to play against Michigan. And I kind of feel the same way about Kerr Tang, but Kerr Tang's minutes have been anything but consistent, especially since Ugachukwu has been back from injury. Game number 3 is Dayton heading to St. Louis. The battle for the Arch Barons Cup, it's called. These are 2 pretty big rivals in the A-10, if you're not aware. And this game usually is pretty good. These 2 teams match up twice a year, and it usually gives us some good moments. If you remember back in 2019, 2020, Dayton's Jalen Crutcher hitting the buzzer beater to keep their winning streak alive, probably the most notable one. So now we got a chance for another notable one. St. Louis is coming into this game ranked. St. Louis is looking real good. They're unbeaten in the A-10. They're projected to win this game 81-68. That is a game total of 149 points, which ranks 3rd on the slate. This game's going to be at a pretty fast tempo, though. Dayton's 153rd. A large reason why is because they press a lot. They force a lot of turnovers on defense. They just run a slow offense. St. Louis is 23rd in tempo. They run a very fast offense. So this is going to be a game that's going to have a lot of possessions. The only downside is both these teams are pretty good defensively. Dayton's 45th. St. Louis is 21st in defensive efficiency. On the Dayton side, we do have to talk about the injuries to start. So Jordan Durkak is one of their starting guards. He has been out for quite a while, and there's like no news on it. Like no news at all. So it wouldn't shock me if he played. If he continues to be out, Bryce Hurd will continue to start. I think Bryce Hurd is a worthwhile value play for this team. He's their designated shooter. He is playing 30-plus minutes pretty much every time they take the floor. So you're going to get a decent amount of looks at the basket, decent amount of opportunities for a guy who's only $4,900. I don't mind that idea at all. The rest of the Dayton players, so Dayton played for a long time without their 2 bigs, Emil Latong and Malcolm Thomas. Latong is now back. He moved back into the starting lineup, but ever since he's been back from injury, he's been real bad. He hasn't played more than 15 minutes. And he hasn't put up more than 16 DraftKings points. So that's just not really like what we're looking for, right? Like just not cutting it since he's been back from injury. Is it lingering effects from the injury? I don't really know. But it doesn't look good. It does not look good, y'all. The other thing I will add is last year, if I'm not mistaken, Latong had a pretty good game against them the second time they played. I'm actually trying to look this up right now as I'm talking, because I do remember Dayton beating them in UD Arena near the end of the season. No, not really a huge game. 8-8 and then 10-6. Not huge games really for Latong. So never mind. I was off on that. But the other big is Malcolm Thomas. A lot of the Dayton fans think Malcolm Thomas is better than Latong and want him to play more minutes. He's been back from injury for 3 games, hasn't played more than 16 minutes since he's been back. The guy that's been playing the minutes in that spot has been Juwan Simon, which helped a lot of people win a lot of money when Dayton was on the slate when they played Loyola. He was great that night. He was great the night they played Duquesne. When he was starting, he was dynamite, but now he's not starting. Now he's splitting minutes with Latong and Thomas, and I don't think he's very playable at a price tag of $5,300. Now, for the Dayton guards, the guys you're going to want to play for Dayton, aside from Bryce Hurd, who I do like, Deshane Montgomery is just this consistent performer, not necessarily like the highest usage rate in the world, only 21.7%, but he's a good defensive rebounder. He will get assists, and he gets a lot of blocks and steals. So in a possession game like this, where there's going to be a lot of possessions, a lot of opportunities, I don't mind the idea of playing him, but $8,700 is a little expensive. In fact, he's only hit value for that price tag one time since January 3rd in the last 7 games. That's not great. So I don't like the price tag, but I do like the profile. Javon Bennett is the usage leader. He is the guy that runs the show for them offensively. He really struggles against teams with bigger guards. St. Louis doesn't really have bigger guards. So I do think this is a fairly good spot for him. But again, my same complaint with Montgomery. He hasn't really hit value for this price tag at a very consistent basis. And then Keontae Jones is not a very high usage player at all, which is weird because he was at CSUN last year. But he's a guy that can really rack up peripherals. So he might be worth a GPP look in this type of game environment. Now, on the St. Louis side, they're projected to score 81 points. That's the second highest of the slate behind only Villanova. So you're going to want to get a piece of them. I don't really want to play Robbie Avila, though. He was really bad last year against Dayton twice. I don't really like the idea of playing him at $8,300 when he has hit value at that price tag once in the last 5 games. And then he's up against a team that really had his number last year. So I don't really like the idea of going to him at $8,300. And I don't think he's going to be a part of my player pool. I think he's a pretty solid fade. Amari McCautry is their usage leader. He's a big wing. Dayton's probably going to have Keontae Jones guard him, if I had to guess. He is leader of the team in usage at about 26%. Good rebounder, good assist rate at about 20%. But he's just been inconsistent lately. But the good news is that inconsistency is allowing you to get him at a cheap price tag at $5,500. So I think I'm going to be in on him. Trey Green is going to play a ton of minutes. He's been really good lately. 3 straight games of 24 or more DraftKings points, 2 of them over 30. Not the highest usage player in the world, 17% on the season, 23% shot rate on the season, but you're going to get a lot of minutes. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. And then the other guy I will mention is Dion Brown. So Dion Brown, good numbers on the season, 20% usage, 20% shot, 25% combined rebound rate, 14% assist rate. So this is your peripheral stat guy, but he hasn't really been consistent lately. Last 2 games have been quite duds. And then Kellen Thames comes off the bench. You never know what his minutes are going to look like coming off the bench, but he's just an elite level scorer. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of this St. Louis team. I think that Green, McCautry, and Brown are probably the 3 that you want to look at. But it's really hard to get super excited about them, even though they do have that high total. All right, that is 3 games down, 2 to go. We're going to take a quick breather and then talk about the last 2. Now, if you do want more information from me, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. It's where I tweet out all updates for the show, as well as I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you reach out to me on Twitter. I'm also in the Fantasy Corner Discord. Link is in the description on YouTube as well as on the audio feed. If you're looking for a community to be a part of where we just talk DFS, talk lineup, talk strategies all day long, I cannot recommend it enough. There's a lot of people who are really good on injury news. So like tonight for the Thursday slate, there were some people in there who shared with shared with the community, the injury news on Kanan Carlisle and Vanderpool for FAU allowed us to make some swaps and definitely helped out. So it's definitely a great place to go if you're looking to just stay on top of things, but also talk DFS and sweat it out with a bunch of like-minded people. Also, if you do want to know who makes my college basketball DFS lineups officially, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/MikesMoneyPicks. It is where for every single college basketball DFS slate, I have a full write-up with my core plays as well as why they are my core plays. So you're not just getting like a list of information, you're getting a full write-up why as well. All right, now let's continue on with game number 4. This one, oh boy, you could almost cross this one off. If you were not aware, Grand Canyon is in the Mountain West for basketball now. Good for you, Grand Canyon. They're actually playing quite well in the Mountain West, but this is not a great game environment for DFS purposes. Boise State is traveling to Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is projected to win this game 69-67, according to KenPom. That is a game total of 136 points, which is the lowest on the slate by a wide margin. Big reason why you got 2 bad offenses, both outside the top 80, 2 good defenses, both inside the top 50, and then just meh tempo. Grand Canyon's 171, Boise's 224. So on this Boise side, y'all, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I'm about tired of seeing this Boise team on DraftKings slates. Boise, St. Mary's, I'm tired of seeing. FAU, I'm tired of seeing. Like, there's just some teams that it's like, you're not fun to play in DFS. And they keep getting put on slates and keep getting put on slates. And it's like, why? I don't want to play any of these guys. I don't want to play the team they're going against. Like, it's just annoying. So for Boise, we've talked about them all season long, and they've kind of switched things up on us all season long, but it's important to look beneath the box score. And what I mean by that is this: Boise State has won their last 2 games in absolute blowout fashion over inferior teams, and really the Wyoming game wasn't all that close either. So what you've had in these 3 games, that most recent, are the starters have played reduced minutes, and they've kind of had to get there on increased efficiency but lower minutes, right? Well, Drew Fielder is the guy that's been really reaping the rewards. 3 straight games over 33 DraftKings points. He's a giant in this conference. If you remember him at Georgetown, he was big there. Of course, he's big in the Mountain West too. And he's just kind of bullied these lesser teams. And so he's seen increased efficiency with bad matchups. And now he's got a team that's really going to be able to defend him. And he doesn't play all the minutes anyway. So I think he's a natural fade for me. Andrew Meadow, kind of the same way. He's had 2 really good games and with a dud sandwiched in between. But like, I don't know, man. I don't ever play this guy. It's not anything against him, not anything against how he looks. He's a very goofy looking dude. If you ever seen him, it's kind of cool, kind of unique, a very mid-major basketball look. But yeah, I don't like, he's got a 17% usage rate on the season. And he's $7,000. His rebound rates are combined 13%. He's $7,000. Like, I'm not getting there. The guy I do like is Dylan Andrews. We played him a ton for Boise this season. And a big reason why Andrews was able to hit value so many times earlier in the season was because he was playing mega minutes, right? Because he's the point guard. He has a pretty high assist rate, 19% on the season. But if you're playing a ton of minutes, having a ton of, you're going to score DraftKings points. The last 3 games in blowout fashion, he's only played a maximum of 24 minutes. So I think you're getting him at a natural buy low spot. Game log watchers are not going to want to play him. The downside is that it's just a terrible game environment, terrible matchup. So from the Boise side, he's definitely the one that's getting the most consideration from me for that reason, is I do expect the minutes to tick back up. Javon Buchanan is kind of the same way, playing a ton of minutes. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, because the dude does have foul issues. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, he was playing a ton of minutes, and he hasn't in the last 3 games. So I think this is another natural buy low spot on him. But y'all, that's honestly really the only place that I have interest for this team is Andrews and Buchanan. There's like Pearson Carmichael. He's like this designated shooter off the bench who's got extended run in blowouts the last few games. Like, I'm not really here for that. The same with some of the other guys who got a lot of run in blowouts. Now, Grand Canyon is an interesting one. So Grand Canyon, you talk about a team having one dude who is ball dominant. Jaden Henley is that dude for them. 28% usage rate on the season, 28% shot rate on the season, decent rebounding and assist rates. So he'll be at his best when the game can get going. So many rock fights, and he's shown the ability to get there in rock fights. Like, look at the last 2 games. He's put up Kings points in both, and neither of them saw 130 points scored. So the fact that he can hit value in a rock fight type of game gives me hope that you can play him and feel confident in the floor. I do have questions about the ceiling that he can get to if the game isn't going to feature more than 150 points, but the floor is definitely there considering the usage, considering he's used to playing in this type of game environment. Now, Mekhi Williams is also second on the team in usage. 25% on the season. He's playing a ton of minutes recently as well. I really like him as a play. He doesn't give you a whole lot in the peripherals, but like in a game environment that's bad like this one, we're not going to get a whole lot of peripherals anyway. So I don't mind the idea of going to him at 5,700. The other thing you're going to want to monitor, you're going to want to monitor injury news from this game, because last game, Caleb Shaw and Brian Moore did not play for Grand Canyon. They're listed as questionable for this game. I could find nothing about these injuries. So if, maybe there's something comes out before the slate locks, I don't know, man, but I could find nothing about him. Grand Canyon apparently very tight-lipped over there in Arizona. If these two guys are out, Grand Canyon's only going to play 5 dudes. So we already mentioned Henley and Mekhi Williams. Nana Owusu-Anon is not a high usage player, but he's a really good rebounder. And if he's playing all the minutes, he's going to have a ton of opportunities to score fantasy points. And then Efe Demariel is a 7-footer. Traditionally 7-footers don't play a whole lot of minutes because it's a lot on the body. Well, he played 37 minutes against Nevada, put up 33 DraftKings points. If we don't have Moore and Shaw, they're in play. And then Dusty Stromer, transfer from Gonzaga, played 44 minutes in that game against Nevada. Yes, it was an overtime game, and he scored 18 DraftKings points. If we don't have Moore and Shaw, he's in play. And I think he's one of the best value plays on the slate if we don't have Moore and Shaw, just because he's going to be out there on the floor for 35-plus minutes. Last game of the night is another late-night Mountain West game, this time between UNLV and Nevada. These are two very difficult teams to predict. This is not like my favorite game by any means either, but the total's pretty good. Nevada's projected to win 82-71. That's a game total of 153 points. That is second on the slate. Big reason why is neither of these teams are great defensively. UNLV's 150th, Nevada's 86th in defensive efficiency, and UNLV does play with the 50th rated tempo, so it's a little bit of a pace up for UNLV. Now, UNLV is dealing with injuries, though. Ladji Dembele has been out for a long time, so I'm not really super concerned about him playing in this one. And then Tyron Jones, the freshman big man for them, he left 2 minutes into the game, and I see no reason to expect him to play in this one. If you're leaving a game 2 minutes in on a Tuesday, probably not looking good for playing Friday. And so if he is out, what that is going to do, and the problem is that this is another team that's been getting blown out recently. So their minutes have been really weird. What that's going to do if he's out is you've seen an emergence of Emmanuel Stephen. He's a 7-footer. He played 30 minutes last time out, only put up 15 DraftKings points, but he's expanded his role in the last 5 games. He's playing a lot of minutes. He's not a big part of the offense, but he's a good rebounder, and he's playing a lot of minutes. I don't mind the idea of playing him at 4,600. He's really taken over the role from Jacob Banderby, who is rarely playing at all now. And then Kamani Hamilton would definitely see increased usage and increased minutes without Tyron Jones. They kind of benched him in the blowout loss to New Mexico last time out, but this is a good player. He was Big South Player of the Year at High Point. He's got a 22% usage rate on the season. Really good rebounder, can get some assists as well. I like the idea of playing him at $6,000, especially if we get news that Tyron Jones is going to be out. And then you've got the guards for this team. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, the Illinois transfer, he is the starting point guard. I mean, he's a solid play at 7,400. He's got really good numbers season long, 24% usage, 28% shot. But the game environment's not the best. Howie Fleming is like a peripheral stat king for this team, but he's 6,500. Hasn't hit value for that in the last 3 games. I don't know. And then you got all kinds of bench guys that played because it was extended blowout run last time. Walter Brown was probably the most notable of them. He's 4,500. He would probably see the most minutes if Tyron Jones were to miss. He'd probably be the beneficiary, like most, because he played 27 minutes against New Mexico. Hadn't really played a whole lot before then. So if we do get Tyron Jones news, he would be a guy that I would definitely boost. Now, on the Nevada side, this is not really a super fun team to target either. They just don't play in a whole lot of very DFS friendly games. Like the last game against Grand Canyon, it was 66-60 and the game went to overtime. Nevada's looking to slow the game down. One thing I will say is that they do have fairly condensed usage and fairly condensed minute. That's good, especially with a good matchup. So Tyshawn Comer is their usage leader on the season, 28% usage, 28% shot rate. He's been kind of a dud lately, but I kind of think that you look further back and the numbers are a lot better. So I don't mind the idea going to him here. I think he might just mean a little bit of a slump and be willing to buy low on him. And then Corey Camper is another guy with a high usage rate, 24% on the season, 28% shot rate. He's been playing much better recently as opposed to Comer. So they're kind of going in opposite directions. So it depends on what you're valuing, right? If you're somebody who values season-long numbers and regression to the mean, Comer your guy. If you're somebody who values recent form, then Camper would be your guy. But there are two guys that I definitely want to get to. Elijah Price, I think, is a little bit overpriced coming up against this UNLV front court. He did have a huge game against New Mexico, but I don't know. I just don't really like the matchup against UNLV here. So Price is a guy at 7,900 that I don't know at the moment if he's going to be in my pool or not. And then after that, you see a lot of minutes distribution after that. Like Lowry and Weems start, but they don't really do a whole lot. They're not really high usage players, but they do start. So like they're going to have first crack at it. They're going to have an opportunity at it. And they both had big games at some point recently, but it's not consistent. They don't have like this dialed in role in the offense. Chuck Bailey is the sixth man who does have a role in the offense, but man, he's inconsistent. He was really their guy down the stretch in that overtime game against Grand Canyon. I'm not going to go back to it here. And then Tyler Rollison is another guy that has a high usage rate off the bench like Bailey, but it's really inconsistent with what you're going to get from him. All right, that is going to do it for this 5-game slate, y'all. Hopefully we gave you guys all the information you need in order to build some winning DraftKings lineups for this slate and some winning player props and parlays as well. Hopefully we're able to help you guys out. If you got some help from this video, please hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Please rate and review if you're listening on audio. Like I said at the top, it just helps me so much, and I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. And then if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you can be with us for the rest of our content all the way through the rest of the season. But that is going to do it here for us tonight, y'all. Best of luck to you guys on this Friday night slate. Oh, one more thing I forgot. I do not have a high school basketball game again tomorrow. So I'm debating what to do about Saturday slate. I definitely want to do some content for it. I might record earlier in the day if I have a chance. I might do a live show at night. I might just do a recorded show like this one at night. We will see, but you will know what happens if you're subscribed. So make sure you subscribe. That's going to do it here for us, y'all. Thank you guys for watching us to this point. Best of luck to you guys on this Friday night slate, and I will see you guys next time.